What is up, guys? This is Jason Rigby with the ABQ Business Podcast. We're going to do part 2. So if you haven't listened to part 1, which was the last podcast on One Mission, the book is called How Leaders Build a Team of Teams. One Mission, this is by a Navy SEAL guy, Chris Fussell. I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm sorry about that, Chris. But it's Fussell book. Get it right now. Go to Amazon. After you listen to this podcast, it's called One Mission. General Stanley McChrystal, and I shared this in the last one, wrote a book called Team of Teams. And you have to listen to that podcast to be able to understand it all. But basically, during the middle of a war, he had to change his special forces because we were actually losing against terrorist cell groups that were all around the world. It became a global problem, and they were moving quick and fast and outmaneuvering us. We're used to having a big map, and we maneuver helicopter units this way, we maneuver ships this way, and we have this map. Now we have little terrorist cell groups all over the world. How do we respond to that? How do we get everybody together working on the same sheet of music? Well, that's what this book was about, how they did that. And we're going to get into chapter 1. It's called One Mission. And I love this quote. It says this: each of us, to our core, is drawn to being part of something larger than ourselves, something with purpose, something we can believe in. That is what your employees want. If you're a leader, this is why they come to work for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. If you are not taking the time to give them a purpose, to give them something to believe in, to let them have the vision of what is larger than themselves and how they're accomplishing that vision, you're losing. And we see this so many times in so many organizations where they tend to just silo up, and you have this team that's afraid to do something because they don't want to disappoint this person. And so you create all these little silos, and then you create bureaucracy, and then you have people that are working 8, 10 hours a day, especially managers in these large organizations, and all they're doing is herding cats. And it becomes a problem. Or maybe you're a business owner and that's what you feel like you're doing every day. But what they were talking about, and what I think is so important, is echo chambers. And we've heard this before. If you're on Twitter or you follow all these different podcasts that are out there, you hear this whole thing, whether you're on the left or the right or centric, whatever you are. These echo chambers. And it's a social discourse. The book says that social discourse suffers when people have a narrow information base with little in common with one another. This is what is happening in our society. And we all know this. We saw this. When an echo chamber is you're woke and you're following the woke culture, and then every single thing you're getting on Facebook and Twitter and all these social medias is just feeding your bias just over and over and over again. Maybe you're on the far right and you're QAnon and all that stuff. And so that's just feeding it over and over. And you're on these free speech platforms, and they're just sending you texts over and over and over again. You're reading this stuff all day long. And next thing you know, you've watched yourself in a year and you were a pretty sensible person. And now you've gone to this angry, because you have to realize, and I want people to understand this, whether it's a country, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a business that you own, whatever it may be, just imagine yourself as a leader. If you want things to go well, you want to create unity, correct? If you want things where there's chaos and you want to control things and you want to create narratives that are selfish and narcissistic, and you thrive in that chaos, well, you have to understand that's what, whether it's left or right or whatever, that's the game that they're playing, guys. You need to understand this. It's a game. And unity wins every single time. Because you know what? I guarantee you that person that you've developed a hatred for that's on the right or the left or whatever it may be, I know I'm going on a tangent here, but this is important. You have more in common with them than you think. Scientifically, your DNA is so close It's amazing. We humans have a conscious. We are conscious beings. We have the ability to be self-aware, to understand, to have thought and reason and logic, not to get into these echo chambers. And the book says that strategic echo chambers can serve to reinforce and exaggerate divergent thoughts on what an organization's strategy or culture should be like and exaggerate operational distance between teams. So this is the problem they were facing. So you have the Army Rangers. They have their deep culture, which is awesome. There's nothing bad about this. It's great to have a good culture. But then you have the Navy SEALs. They have their culture, their thing. Then you have the Marine Recon, Force Recon. They have their thing. Then you have CI operatives. They have their thing. And each of these people are operating independently, doing their own things and doing missions. You can even get to the point to where they have a blue on blue, where they're shooting at each other because they don't know where they were at. This team decided to go this way. This team decided to go this way, and they're on different parts of the town. Next thing you know, they're thinking they're engaging the enemy, and they're actually engaging themselves. This has happened. You can read about it online. You see the importance of dealing with echo chambers. And you have echo chambers in your organization, whether you realize it or not. You have that influential person. And the book talks about this later. You have that influential person that you may not realize that they're that influential. They may not be a manager. They're just been an employee that's been there for 20 years that everybody looks up to and they listen to. And this person can spout out negative things or positive things about the organization. This is what I always encourage new leaders. Find these people. Don't come in there and try to change everything gangbusters and be a hard ass. Take the time to find the influential people. They're hiding. You have to find them. Often they're not the ones with titles or rank. Find these key linchpins and make friends with them. And it'll make your life so much easier. One of the things I like about the book when it talks about how you earn your day. And I thought this was interesting. This is just a side note, but they were talking about Navy SEALs. And one of the daily questions, and it's on a door frame at the first SEAL team in Little Creek, Virginia. And it says that it was an etched reminder on the door frame. And it said, did you earn your trident today? Because the trident is earned, not granted. And I love that. If you really think about that, did you earn it today? Physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, did you do what you were supposed to do today as a leader? Did you earn your leadership today? Because it is earned, it's not granted. Just because you have a title, this is the thing that always gets me. And we always see this, especially in sales organizations. The best salesperson always becomes a manager. They may be a sucky leader, but they would still become a manager. You have to learn leadership. It's learned. No one just automatically pops up and is a great leader. Some people may have a tendency for leadership. They may have been a captain on the football team, or maybe they were in ROTC. Maybe they were in the military and they learned whatever it may be. They were on debate team, however it may go. They led something and they learned about leadership. And if they're halfway self-aware, they would kind of get the idea of understanding how you work with people. But for most of us, for me, it's a lifelong lesson that I have to learn. And I did a few podcasts ago about making leaders. That's a true leader, is that you turn around and make leaders. What does that look like? Did you earn your trident today? And I want to get into what the purpose is and the role that they play. And they talked about this in the book, is that they had excellence. All these teams, whether they're Ranger, Green Berets, SEAL team, whatever it was, they were excellent, absolutely excellent at what they did. They were talented, tremendously talented. The top 1% of the military goes to these teams, and they were capable. But they were so unit-centric, and the narrative excluded anyone playing outside of their playground. And they invented their own rules in their playground. The book says anyone who identified with their purpose to play a role in their success was invited. So if you would play on their playground, their role in the way that they did it, they're all in. And I'm going to tell you something. I see this over and over again. And it's wrong because people lead in many different ways. Some of the greatest leaders I've ever met are introverts. They can be very calm and relaxing and be an amazing leader. They don't have to be this, visionary, outspoken, extroverted leader that, just rallies the troops or gives these amazing speeches. Some of the greatest managers I've ever worked with were good coaches. They were one-on-one. They wanted to make you better. And one of the things that they talked about in their senior leadership in getting these teams together, because this is the problem. They're in the middle of a war, and they've got to get these teams all working together. And you have hundreds of years of culture that you have to deal with. You've got to get everybody playing on a different playground and playing together and nicely. And they kind of came up with this formula, and I love it. It's credibility equals proven competence plus integrity plus relationships. Credibility equals proven competence plus integrity plus relationships. This is the secret, guys. You want your organization to flourish? Establish credibility. Proven competence. Who's incompetent in your team right now? You're a leader. You're a manager and you're in charge of 5 people. Out of those 5 people, who's incompetent? Okay. Are they a chicken and they never can be an eagle? Or is it just a baby eagle that needs a lot of training? If it's a chicken and it's never going to be an eagle, you need to get rid of them. You've got to make that hard decision. I hate it when I have to go into an organization and I consult with them and I find out that no one's willing to fire anyone. And they have people that are just bad news, just infiltrating the organization and tearing it down. And no one wants to make the decision. Well, Bill's been here for 15 years, and he's been through it all. And no. And you talk to Bill, and Bill has not one good thing to say about the organization. He shows up for a paycheck. Get rid of those. Proven competence. Are they competent? Are they able to do what they said that they could do? Are they wanting to do it? Plus integrity. This is a hard one, especially in business. We all want to take the fast food pill. We all want to run through the drive-thru real quick and get a milkshake, a Big Mac, and a large fry. We all want that. It's easy. It's quick. 5,000 calories later, we hate ourselves. And we think about it all evening. Why did we do that? Integrity. What does that look like? Integrity. What does that look like for you? For me, integrity is making sure I'm doing the things that I do when no one's looking. I don't need applause. I don't need to grandstand. I just need to do what I need to do. I know for me, I have to go to the gym 4 times a week. I have to. Because if I can lift those weights and do the hard thing in the gym, everything else is fucking easy. Mentally, it's easy. If I can handle when I don't want to go to the gym and I go anyways and I lift heavy weights, guess what? I can handle the hard conversation. I can use that time physically to deal with the issues that I need to face that are hard. So for me, integrity is doing sometimes things I don't want to do and doing them without an audience and doing them for myself and no one else. And doing the right thing when we've heard this before, doing the right thing when no one's looking. Stop cheating on everything. Some of you are successful because you've cheated your way. That doesn't last. How's your relationship with your wife, your partner? If you're cheating your way at work, I know you're cheating in your relationship. It's getting real now, isn't it? It infiltrates every part. I always say this. Spiritually, if you're lacking, it's going to affect you physically, mentally, and emotionally. Physically, if you're lacking, it's going to affect you spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. They all coincide together. Integrity and having integrity for yourself. That's what's most important. You have to put yourself first to be the best that you can be so that, guess what? When you walk into that door, when you walk into that business and you step into your office, you're the best that you can be. You are a shining example to every person that you're leading. And they're going to feel that energy. They're going to see that and they're going to respond. Integrity. Credibility equals proven competence plus integrity plus relationships. You have to build relationships. You can't be a leader if you don't want to build relationships. I'm introverted. So you're like, I'm introverted. I don't like to build relationships. You can build those close to you. The people that matter, build relationships with them. Take them out to lunch one-on-one. You don't have to give speeches and put everybody together in a room. You can do it one-on-one. Coach. In fact, that's what they said. Each day, these were expanded into coaching conversations, contextualizing what was and wasn't working. Every single day to build this credibility, that formula of credibility, they had coaching conversations and they contextualized in detail what was and wasn't working. What if you did that with your team? If you brought them every day and said, hey guys, just have a team huddle every day. What's working, what's not? I want you guys to be honest. Here's what's not working with me. Here's what I need to do to be a better leader for you. Start it off with you being transparent. You know what, guys? I haven't been the leader that I should be. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to step it up, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold each other accountable. No matter what, we're having a team huddle every single day. It's going to be 10, 15 minutes, and we're going to see what's working and what isn't. Because you know what? Jim may have something, or Susan may have something that she can share, and Bill catches on, and he's like, I like that. I'll use that. Oh, that sounds good. You see how they had to get these teams working together to understand that? Navy SEAL team says, we did this, and this worked really great. Army Rangers say, hey, well, we should try that. We have this new tool, this new weapon. We can do this, and this with it. Oh, well, how do we get those? Well, the supply sergeant's like, well, I can get that. We can do this. And they said this in the book. After all, credibility will allow us to move with more speed and decentralized autonomy. You want to move quickly? You want to grow quickly? You've got to have credibility and decentralized autonomy. We talked about this before. Decentralize your organization. Pass ownership down. Jocko Willink has a book called Extreme Ownership. It will change your life and it will change those that you lead. Put your business under extreme ownership. It's one of my most favorite books. It's I would say top 3 books. I was going to say it's the best book. I know, Jocko. I love you. I listen to your podcast. Love it. I don't know if I could say top 3. I'm like Bible's up there. I love the Bible. And no, I'm not some far right Christian. I like any book that has a ton of wisdom in it. Credibility will allow us to move with more speed and decentralized autonomy. But they also needed to increase the measure of operational speed and efficiency. And the only way they said that they could do that is through cultural change. So they had to change the landscape. And guess what that's doing? How do we get this speed? Well, one of the things that they decided was they need a better way to have information flow. Because if everybody's playing in their own little playgrounds and making their own little rules and hoarding their own information, they had to get away where they can get this information out so that everybody could be helped. And this, to me, is something that breaks these silos down. And some of you have the balls enough to do this. And some of you will just continue to do what you're doing. And you're not going to be happy. You know why you're not going to be happy? Because you know you're not giving your best. And you can try to compartmentalize it and say, I'm going to work 9 to 5, but I don't want to be that person. What did they say? The average person, they die 5 years after they retire? Why? What life did you live? What are you retiring from? So you sacrifice your whole life to live a job that you really don't like, but you did it for security. Security for what? So you can die in 5 years after you're done? I'm not into that. So at the end of every chapter, they have questions to consider. And this is after chapter 1, and then we'll be done. It's this. First question, do you believe that your organization's external environment is changing in a way markedly different from how it has in the past or at a greater rate? Is it changing? If so, do you believe that your organization's teams are currently able to collaborate and adapt as quickly and as effectively as they need to in response? Most of us would say no to that. If they can't, what is preventing that adaptation? Here's some self-awareness questions. So they can't. So what is preventing that adaptation? Why can't they adapt? Lack of familiarity or exposure to one another? That's one. Number two, these are so great, guys. Let me repeat that. Lack of familiarity or exposure to one another. So they're in silos and they don't know who each other is. Fear of repercussions. That's a big one. If you're got an iron fist out there and all your managers and no one can make a mistake. They're fearful for their life. Fear of repercussions. Uncertainty about the response of senior leadership. That's a big one. I don't want to do this. I better play it safe. I'm not going to mention this idea. I don't know how the senior leadership is going to respond. And then last is lack of strategic clarity. And I think this is the easiest one and the most effective. How often are we have strategic clarity on the vision that we have? You're a business owner. When's the last time you've had strategic clarity meeting where you've outlined it to the detail of what you want to see happen for 2022 and 2023? Okay, just hit 2022. Do you even know? Where are you going then? Is it the blind leading the blind? What's going on here? Lack of strategic clarity. Do you see how this book is so important? Do you see how it can help you as a leader in your organization? And like I said, I encourage you to get it. It's called One Mission, How Leaders Build a Team of Teams. And it's by Chris Fussell, Fussell. Other book I talked about was Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership, and then Team of Teams by General Stanley McChrystal. You get all three of those, it'll change the way that you lead.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share. And go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.